the first forecast at midday at 11:02. What are we expecting out there, Grace?
Yeah, so we're already seeing some rainfall in a lot of areas as some showers and storms approach from the hill country a bit earlier on today and now are making their way east. So here's a look at downtown. You can certainly see the widespread cloud cover that we have. Looks a little dark out there. Temperatures still, a touch warm. 76 at the airport, 74 for Camp Mabry. Very spring-like out there at the moment. Very humid as well. Dew points at 65 degrees. Here's a look at the map. We can see that most of this rain came out of the hill country, very much weakened as it moved across the area earlier on this morning. Now headed east as we head towards the noon hour here. We've got some scattered activity down towards Blanco County, as well as mostly out towards our eastern counties along the coastal plains here. Cameron down to Giddings. LaGrange, spotty, scattered storms and showers is what you can be expecting as we kind of head into the next couple of hours here. But I do think that this batch of rain is likely the last one for our Tuesday. Now, of course, we are tracking another round of rain as we head into the early morning hours of our Wednesday. And here's a look at that flood outlook. So Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, all of the KVUE viewing area is pretty much in that level 2 slight risk for potential for localized and even flash flooding may be possible as we head further into the week. Again, this is not our last round of rain. Looks like we'll be dealing with this as we head through Friday this week, and hopefully we can get some drier weather in there for this weekend. We'll have all those details coming up.
All right, Grace, we'll see you then.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. 11:17 is your time on your Tuesday. It was kind of a wet start across the area, and we're going to continue to see rounds of rainfall as we shift it through the rest of the week. Now, does that mean everyone's going to be seeing rain all the time? No, these are going to be pretty hit or miss. They're just going to roll on through, and we'll get some breaks of clear skies as well. And that's kind of what the hill country is dealing with right now. We've got some low-level clouds, but we also have some breaks of sunshine also on the horizon there. So as a lot of our scattered showers and thunderstorms that we saw earlier today are kind of making their way east for the moment, we should get a little bit of sunshine, at least for, some portions of the afternoon here. We're at 76 at the airport, 74 for Camp Mabry. Those clouds are certainly keeping the sunshine away and not heating us up enough across the region. Usually at this time frame, we're near, at least the mid 80s, if not the upper 80s, shifting into the afternoon. Here's a look at our radar. You can see a lot of us are starting to dry out after a lot of that rain is actually moving up to the north and east. We do have an interesting looking little line moving over Blanco right now, shifting over towards the Dripping Springs area, the Canyon Lake area. That'll be good for Canyon Lake. They need the rainfall for sure. But most of the rainfall, at least these scattered showers and thunderstorms, are moving across Bryan, Texas, Cameron here, and moving their way north and east of the coastal plains over there. So looking across Texas today, you can see this complex of storms. Most of that is starting to make its way up towards the north and east. You can see that turn there just in the last hour or so. Now, as we shift into the rest of the afternoon, we shouldn't see too much more rainfall. Basically, this batch is more or less most of what we're going to see for the day today. That's why we've got that marginal risk for severe weather across Austin as well as most of central Texas there. But our rain chances, of course, do not stop at Tuesday. We've got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and even potential for isolated activity as we head into this weekend as well. Now, most of the severe risk for this week is going to be kind of on that low end. However, as we start to build more and more rainfall as we head through the rest of this week, we will have an elevated localized flood threat or maybe even the possibility of flash flooding if that rainfall is heavy enough as we start to track these storms throughout the week. So as we shift through the rest of the day, it's possible that by this evening we could see some isolated activity down to the south of Austin here. This is a look at 8:30 p.m. tonight. And then we shift towards midnight. So the bulk of the rainfall, at least for the next 24 hours or so, is actually going to be overnight tonight and into early Wednesday morning. You can see that moving out of the hill country there. And then as we shift into Wednesday afternoon, we'll just be dealing with scattered activity for the rest of the day. And here's a look at that 4 p.m. time frame for Wednesday afternoon. You can see that very isolated activity there. there. So for the next couple of days, it's mostly going to be those morning hours where you see most of the rainfall here. The good news is that's going to help keep us a little bit cooler as we head into the rest of the week here. By the weekend, I do think we're going to work back those hot temperatures into the forecast. And here's that 7-day for you. Again, for the next couple of days, most of that rainfall happening in the morning, overnight hours. That's why we have a 60% chance at night tonight. For the rest of the day today, not all of us will see rainfall, but a couple of us will. And then as we shift into the rest of the week here, you can see Thursday, Friday, we also have 50 to 60% chances for thunderstorms too. So of course, we'll be watching that flood threat for you guys here at KVUE.
Okay, Grace. Well, next details. What do you think?
What, 20 more feet, something like that? 20 more feet of rain, we're good.
Please?
I mean, we can only hope. Yeah, we are going to definitely have some rounds of rain coming out of the hill country as we shift through the next couple of days. So I do think our lake levels are going to benefit from that. As to how much they're going to benefit, that is yet to be known. Of course, we're just going to have to track that as it comes through the area. We're looking over Austin right now and even Town Lake. You can see, I also see something kind of cool here on the camera. You can see this kind of little jaggedness to the bottom of these clouds here. That's what's known as virga, basically rain that's falling out of a cloud but evaporating before it makes it to the ground. And that can make our clouds out there kind of look like jellyfish sometimes. I don't know, something cool and something you can share at a fun fact or breaking the ice kind of thing. All right, right now we're seeing some cooler conditions, 76 at the airport, 74 at Camp Mabry, dew points in the 60s. But let's talk about tonight, because not only are we tracking some rain for this evening and overnight hours, we're also tracking a full strawberry moon. This is going to be the lowest full moon since 2006. That's kind of cool. And it's going to be, you know, not technically a super moon, but it will appear larger and brighter than normal. Of course, we're talking about clouds and storms tonight, so that may limit your visibility a little bit, but not for everyone. I do think some of us will get a little bit of a sneak peek at that strawberry moon. So as we head into Tuesday evening, we may have some clouds, some isolated storm activity down to the south of us, but it's really overnight into the early hours of Wednesday that we'll be watching the hill country for another round of showers and thunderstorms to move its way closer and closer here to the I-35 corridor. Here's a look at 3 a.m. for your Wednesday morning. That's when it moves across the I-35 corridor. And then by 5 and even closer to about 8 a.m. tomorrow, it looks like most of us should be good for that early morning commute tomorrow. Good morning, everyone. 11:45 is your time on your Tuesday. We are waking up to cloudy conditions across Austin, and some of us even dealing with some rainfall still. So we're at 74 degrees at Camp Mabry. You can see those low-level clouds, even a bit of virga. We were talking about some of those clouds are, you know, giving off some rainfall. It's just not really reaching the ground closer to town. So for today's forecast, a lot of us already saw the most of the rain that we're going to see today. The rest of it is now shifting off to the east, and the next chance for rain we have is going to be a little bit later on this evening, and again, it's going to be very isolated. So I do think as we kind of clear out for the next couple of hours, we are going to see high temperatures likely hit about 90 today, or at least the upper 80s. You can see that complex of storms moving up towards the Dallas region and off towards East Texas right now, but closer to home, many of us are not even seeing any rainfall anymore. So we do have a little area here. This line moved in from Blanco County, now shifting over Hayes County, moving very, very quickly. Could give the Austin Metro a couple of sprinkles here in the next couple of minutes, but most of that rainfall is actually now shifting off towards the east. You can see scattered activity from College Station all the way down to the south there, giving off some lightning. But again, a lot of these storms are of the non-severe variety. Even earlier this morning, as they moved in from the hill country, non-severe storms. We're mostly going to be paying attention to how much rainfall we get over these next 5 to 7 days. So this is what we got for this morning. You can see, of course, the hill country was certainly favored from Mason all the way up to northern Burnett County there, but we did get some scattered activity here closer to home and off towards the coastal plains too. So let's shift into tonight. Again, I said we're likely going to dry out for the afternoon. We've got some isolated chances as we head closer to about 8 or 9 p.m. tonight, and then overnight we'll be watching the hill country once again. They are likely to be favored this week with with a lot of these rainfall chances. Coming in 1 a.m. you can see closer to town as we head towards 3 a.m. And then by 5 a.m. we start to dry things out, and I do think by 8, 9 a.m. as you start to make your way to work and school in the morning, things are going to be much drier, and I do think that commute will be a-okay for a lot of us. By 4 p.m. we work back in that very isolated chance for rain and maybe a couple of thunderstorms. But again, by Wednesday afternoon, we're looking at mostly some clearer conditions. So we will get some breaks from this rainfall chance. Now, this is a multi-day rain event, so we'll have periods of heavy rain moving through the area. Again, it's not going to be all the time, and some of us won't even see rain some days, but you know, at some point this week, you're going to see some rain. All right, increased flood risks area-wide, so we definitely want to be paying attention to low water crossings and if you have flood-prone areas in your neighborhoods. Now, here's a look at the next 7 days of rainfall. You can see these numbers here have dropped off a little bit because we did receive some rain this morning. But as we head into the next couple of days here, it does look like we're going to get anywhere from, again, a widespread 1 to 3 inches from Tuesday through Friday, and then potentially on top of that, maybe 3 to 6 in some isolated areas. So here's that 7-day forecast. Again, we're expecting most of that rain to make its way from the hill country to the I-35 corridor overnight tonight into Wednesday. Just a 40% chance of rain for those afternoon and evening hours. And then we kick things back up to 60 and 50% for Thursday and Friday. Thankfully, by this weekend, we will see some more sunshine out there. We'll get a little break from the rain and we'll see some sunshine.
Grace.